Actually, it was Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? The one with Purple Haze on it.
Nice.
I remember hearing Ozzy Osbourne cover it on that
Ozzy did Purple Haze?
Yeah, he did it in Russia when they had that big Russian festival with all the bands. And I was like, what is this song, Ozzy Osbourne? And then I found out, oh, that's actually a Jimi Hendrix song. Someone told me, and I was like, oh, who's this Jimi Hendrix guy? You know, and that introduced me to music. Mitch Mitchell, drums. I was set from there. You'll see in my playing, it's very inspired by Mitch Mitchell from Jimi Hendrix. It was one of my earliest, influences. That and Bonham from Zeppelin, of course.
No one really listened to music in my household growing up. And one day, some guy that worked with my dad left a mixtape lying around that said New Wave. And it had, like, U2, Talking Heads, INXS, Blondie, like, the Clash, like, all this stuff. And that was my introduction to, like, this whole world of music that I'd never even heard of. And some of my favorite songs are still from that tape. Like that INXS song we cover live, called Don't Change. That's just one of my favorites. And it all dates back to that weird tape that was lying around.
The mixtape. It was a mixtape.
Yeah, the mixtape. First concert I ever saw was Guns N' Roses with Skid Row opening. And the Slash went into a solo, and I was so excited that I actually lost consciousness and passed out for a second and started to fall down the stairs.
My first show was it was Whitesnake at Jones Beach. Wow. And I was like, oh my God, Tommy Aldridge, I read in a magazine, he's playing with Whitesnake and they're playing, Jones Beach. I didn't even know what Whitesnake was at the time. I remember just going to the show. I couldn't even tell you what the band looked like or anything. I just focused on Tommy Aldridge's double bass kit, these cymbals all over the place. He was twirling, going nuts. The whole show, all I remember is Tommy Aldridge on drums. So
I picture you at that age, in a dashiki with remember the African hat.
No. That was later.
You know what I'm talking about?
That was when I.
You know what I'm talking about? That skull cap thing that the real nerdy bass player would wear.
Yeah. With the little Fu Man.
Which you still have actually.
Yeah. Isn't there a character on The Simpsons who has that with the glasses?
Yeah, Bleeding Gums Murphy.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's you in 8th grade. Is basically old blues man.
Yeah, at one point I had a couple of dashikis. I was trying to really get into the whole classic rock feel, Nice. Well, my big musical inspiration moment was, I guess I was in grade school and we had a talent show, a kid juggling and a magic act and all this stuff. You were required to be there. And then these kids rolled in, the coolest kids ever. In our minds, we were like, whoa, we can't believe these guys showed up. And they rolled in, they set up their amps and stuff, and it was a punk band. And I still, to this day, I remember they were called Strength in Numbers. And they busted out 99 Red Balloons, but punk as hell. Wow.
And it was the loudest thing I've ever. I remember looking over, the kid next to me was like this, and the teacher started freaking out, and they just
Did they do the original German version, or did they do the?
I don't even know if there's lyrics. You couldn't even tell.
Might have been the German version.
They probably didn't even plug in the microphone. Just to see in 1 second, it was you set a bomb off in that room.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized wow, you can really, this is a very powerful thing.
My favorite track on the record, I'm gonna say, is "Fistful of Sand." It's a very interesting song for me. It definitely is my favorite.
Yeah, I'd say, musically, from a musical instrument point of view, that's probably the most interesting, the most unlike the others. I saw an interview with Billy Joel one time, and he said, he's your songs are like your children, and some of them grow up to be doctors and lawyers, some of them grow up to be deadbeats and, junkies.
Exactly.
But, you love them all.
Barflies, not that that's bad. They have more friends than doctors.
More popular.
Yeah.
The new album's different than the old one in a lot of ways. As far as making it, we wanted to keep that kind of basement vibe that we got from the first one. So we did a lot of it in New York.
But then for like 4 months, we moved to Atlanta and worked with the producer Brendan O'Brien. He lives in Atlanta. We went there and recorded in his studio. We were able to do a lot of stuff there that we couldn't do in New York, like, you know, bring in these weird acoustic instruments that we hadn't used before. Sort of try to get the best of both worlds. It still sounds like the Bravery, but it's in a really different way.
And something else, I think, a direction we took on this record, which is different, just from touring the first record to, you know, fatten up the sound live, we would all start singing. And I guess we all improved on the road, and then when it came time in the studio, we all had a good sense of being able to sing backups, and that kind of came out in the new material.
Yeah, there's a lot of things where I'd write a little melody on guitar and be like, yo, what instrument should play this? And I'm like, screw it, we'll just have someone sing it.
Yeah.
And so you think, well, who could sing that? And you're like, well, Michael's got a really hard guitar part, so he probably won't be able to sing that there. But, you know, this other guy's not doing jack right here, so we'll just have him sing that part. You know, and that's how it all kind of came together.
How do you feel today? Great, man. How you doing, man?
Nowadays, I usually discover new music online, I guess. Usually it'll be like my friend, it'll be like, you know, someone will be like, oh, you should check out this band. And if, you know, several people say that to me, then I'll just check it out someday on MySpace or something. Or I'll check out the snippets on iTunes. I'm heavy into the snippets.
I found out a lot of bands just from fans coming to our show, and they'll be like, oh, did you check this out? Did you check that out? So I actually learn a lot about new acts just from being on the road, you know.
The most people we've ever played for at one show would be when we opened for U2 in Dublin. So it's like their hometown.
Yeah.
And it was 100,000 people.
Speaking of that show, do you remember the power went out in the stadium?
Oh, yeah.
Set? So
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
right.
nerves. I mean, that really got me over stage fright.
We're on stage in front of 100,000 people.
And the power goes out. All the amps shut down,
Just
and all you hear is a drum set with no mics. I was like, you know what? It's like a nightmare. Like, if you could think of a nightmare, like kind of, you know, rivaling being naked in school,
Right.
it would be that. You know, having the power go out in front of 100,000 people. Happened, and we were cool.
When you're the opening band, you're really the guinea pig.
Yeah.
Because I think if the power went out on you too, that some guy would get like guillotined backstage.
Well, why'd they make us leave the stage though? Were they afraid we'd get electrocuted while they like rewired something?
I don't know, I think they just realized it was going to be a really long time before they could get the power going again.
But it was cool, man. After that, no more stage fright. I mean, where do you go from
cured
there?
it right there.
No power, 100,000 people.
I'm going to give you a recent really good use of a song. In Zodiac, they rock Hurdy-Gurdy Man
There you go.
by Donovan. The first time that you like see the killer, and then it comes back at the end, you know, like when they figure out who the killer probably is. And I never listen to that song now because it's so creepy.
I mean, I hate to be cliche about this, but it's definitely Eye of the Tiger and Rocky when he's training. After Clubber Lang beat his ass there.
Survivor, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That, come on, that pumps you up.
Let me just say something else about Hurdy-Gurdy Man. All right, that song is awesome. It's really creepy. Did you know it's Donovan, right? He's singing it and he wrote it. The backup band, Led Zeppelin.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Like there's a crazy guitar. That's Jimmy Page.
Oh, I gotta
plays
download
drums,
that.
Bass is John Paul Jones.
It's
a really cool
that.
song.
Definitely.
We talked about Bleeding Gums Murphy earlier,
Yeah.
I think. Take it back to that guy. He died, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, perished in one episode of The Simpsons. Lisa Simpson has him as kind of like this Obi-Wan Kenobi that like shows up and like tells her to like use the Force every once in a while. You know, I might be like a filmmaker. I've always been really into movies, and you know, I used to take film classes and stuff. That's how John and I met, actually.
I would rock Eye of the Tiger and start training and go into the UFC. Kick Chuck Liddell's ass.
Oh man,
Can you
he's
put that
gonna
on
hear
there?
that. It's gonna get back to him, man. I'm not gonna be there. I'm not gonna have your back when that guy shows up at our show. When we play Vegas and he rolls in.
I heard what you said about it.